Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I'm Deplorable Knitter. I am joined as always by the fabulous and wonderful Pinkava.
Aw, thanks. Hi.
Hi.
And sorry, I always introduce like a teenage girl, like, oh, hello, Pinkava here.
It's okay, it makes us us.
Well, that's all right.
We're joined by Elizabeth from The Joy of Knitting. So it's a very exciting week for us. And before we get into that, I just wanted to mention that if you're going to join in a One Knit Yarn and Fibers knit along, it started on September 11th. It goes until October 4th, and it's in support of police. Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter. She's got the yarn. I'll drop her link. And any interesting facts you want to share before we get going, Anne?
No, I think we're ready to roll.
Well, I am so glad to meet y'all.
Yeah. I know, it's exciting.
Tell you what, have we been through hell in this country or what?
It's been a year. I mean, it's been a couple of years. I mean, it's been, yeah.
Yeah. I should be on, come January 24th, it's been 4 years for me. Because that's when I put my, that's the weekend of the inauguration. So I brought the TV in, and this girl there's 6 of us, and we're going to watch the inauguration, and she brings in 2 bottles of champagne with communion cups. That did not work out. I had to go get those big things.
Yeah.
And so then the next day is when the Women's March happened, and I just happened to go across the living room with the TV on. My husband had it on, and I saw that, and I thought, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? I'm going to throw up. And I thought, I'm so glad my mother is not here to see all this. She would have been 93. It would have killed her to see how far women have fallen. But and then I wrote that post on Tuesday, and the gates of hell opened on me. For almost a year ago, this gal walked in, and she parked in the parking lot that's across from my front door versus my side windows. And so, you know, when you walk into the yarn shop, I'm like, oh, you know, if I don't recognize you, it's like first time in. Where I live is a destination town.
Right.
And then I go, so are you local, you know, or are you just visiting, and kind of figure out what they're doing and just welcome them. And she goes, oh, I just moved down here from Oregon. I've been down here about 3 months, you know. And so anyway, she went shopping. She showed us this beautiful shawl. I introduced her to everybody at the table. And then she went to check out. And I have a Trump Pence sign on my register.
Yeah.
And she looks at everybody and she goes, you know, y'all are so nice. And then she smacks my little Trump Pence sign, which came in my Trump straws. So it's only about 4 by 6, right? Right. She smacks it and she goes, I won't be back. And she walked out the door. And I thought, okay. I said, you know what? God plucked her out of the most liberal part of our country, put her in the Bible Belt, and she walked into the most conservative yarn shop probably on the face of the earth. So he planted a seed or what?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I mean, some of the calls that I got during this whole thing, I mean, there were some men that really said some unbelievably vulgar things, but then the support was unbelievable because people would come in and just lay down money and just walk out. I'm like, no, I need a customer. If you don't knit, you know somebody who does knit, because you can't come back here every single month and give me $100, can you? You know,
as nice as that would be, that seems a little iffy.
Well, I got that first week, I got a letter from an attorney and from a doctor, and I thought, I'm not getting sued over this. And so after everybody left at the end of the day, I opened up the 2 letters, and they said, 2 men, and they said, oh, you just said what we're thinking. Thank you. So it's just kind of funny, you know, that you're like, oh my gosh, are you believing hell? What on earth? You just can't even get your mind around what's going on in the first place. And then the reaction to you just kind of calling out people on the craziness. So it was wild, to say the least. It was really wild.
Well, I to think how crazy it is that a yarn shop is conservative. When I've walked, I visited, it's a little combination bookstore coffee shop in Maine this one time. Oh, they're full liberal. I don't remember any specific stickers on the cash register, but they would. They sell every liberal sticker on the planet. They'll sell you any, critical race theory book. They'll sit there and they'll serve you your liberal hipster coffee with a smile, and it was good coffee. I sincerely enjoyed going there, but still I wasn't like, oh well, obviously you're a different political persuasion than I am, I'm just going to walk right out the store. Like oh, you actually have a good service even though I disagree with you politically. This is a fun place. Even with that.
Yes, exactly. I could not imagine walking into any business and them being liberal and me making sure they knew that I wasn't coming back. I just don't go back. I don't look at them and go, yeah, you're so far left, I can't be caught dead in your store. You just leave and you go, it's just not my cup of tea, and that is okay. But boy, they make a point of really letting you know. And I thought, here was my thought when this gal did this. Her name's Molly. I still remember that because we all prayed for her. But I thought, what is she going to do, guys? She's going to go to her liberal friends and she's going to say, what? I walked into the Joy of Knitting. I got to tell you something. They were so stinking nice. I had to get out of there. Really? Really? So, because she had nothing bad to say, and she bought yarn. And the yarn was placed near a window that had my big 3x4 foot Trump banner on it.
How did she miss that one?
I do not know. I do not know. She found the one at the cash register that is literally 4x6 thing that just said Trump hints 2020. And I thought, well, I'll just stick that up there. No big deal. It's kind of tiny, to be honest with you. And
you're like, well, I would have liked it to be a little bit bigger, but it works.
Oh, listen, you couldn't believe all the stuff. I thought my house, my yard is going to be the Trump headquarters this year. All the stuff I've got hanging on it. So out the yard. So anyway.
Talking, but we haven't introduced you properly to specifically say where your store is and the first post that got you in trouble, if you'd like to talk about it.
Buddy. So I'm Elizabeth Poe, and I had the Joy of Knitting in Franklin, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I got in trouble when I put the post out. So it was January 24th of 2016. The inauguration had happened. The Women's March had happened the next day. And the following Tuesday at about 3 p.m, it was really busy in here. And some girl had gotten all the way to the back of the yarn shop without me greeting her, which is really weird because you all feed me. So I got to know your name.
Right.
And well, yeah. And then if you're a regular, I don't care if you live out of town. If you're a regular, I'll get to know your husband, the kids, the whole 9 yards. Because they come in here often enough. I know enough about them. But anyway, she had asked me, I told her, I said I'd be right with her. And so for her to look around, and she came up and I asked her if she found what she was looking for. And so what got me in trouble is this. She says, well, I've got a friend who, she wants me to make her one of those, those little kitty cat hats. And I just kind of went, oh boy. And so I told her, I said, ma'am, if I had the yarn, honestly, I would not even begin to sell it to you. I said, after what I saw on TV. Anyway, she left and she was parked up front and I saw her pull up her phone. She had no idea what it was. She had no clue what the cat hat was for. Mm-hmm. You could see her typing up, looking at it. I thought, oh, I'm getting ready to get in trouble. Oh. So I went on my Facebook and I just said, you know what? Ladies, we're better than this. You cannot go around doing this stuff. You shouldn't. I mean, did y'all see the Women's March and what the little girls were wearing, the T-shirts that said, do not grab my pee? Like 5 and 6 year old girls. And then there was the costumes. So I put that on about 4 o'clock. Facebook just blew up. Mm-hmm. I could not believe it. My sister that lived she used to live in Alabama, she gave me a text and said, it's been posted in the Russian Times. I'm like,
wow. Once you make it big in Russia.
Oh, listen, it was posted everywhere. That was about 8 to 10 hours after I posted it. So in the middle of the night, I get that. My daughter lives in Prague, and I get a text from her going, Mom, what is going on? And I'm like, okay. And then, the Daily Mail picked it up, Washington Post, everybody picked it up. And I just thought, this is nuts. I mean, really? So I came into work and I had a regular that was in here and this new woman that was coming to take a class. And so the woman that was a regular is a believer. And I just thought, you know what, we need to pray. So she prayed, and then we went back to her knitting and me teaching the class. And about 5 minutes into it, 10 minutes into it, I saw the channels, the news channel vans come up, and they walk in. Now, men come in here all the time, so men don't surprise me, okay? I mean, I got a lot of men customers. And then the husbands. So this man came in, and he's like, we'd like to get an interview. And I said, well, for what? And he goes, well, ma'am, your post went viral. And I just looked at him, I said, really? It is that slow of a day in the world that a yarn shop post goes crazy? So I had ABC, NBC, and Fox interviewed me. And then there's American Family, little magazine, that interviewed me, the Washington Post. And then there's another guy that did a podcast. He was really sweet, kind of sitting in the middle of the road. Young guy did it. Now, do you all remember, y'all heard of the Federalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when that happened, this man came in. And he goes, he, I guess is maybe one of the big staff person. And then he asked me if I'd do an interview with the Federalist. Mm-hmm. And so I did. So when you all hang up, I want you to Google Bree Payton, B-R-E, last name is Payton, P-A-Y-T-O-N. So she interviewed me probably that February. And that was 2016. In October of 2018, she was the reporter that was supposedly got meningitis and died in California within 24 hours.
Wow.
She was 26 years old. She had some things going on that was going to open up some stuff on the Clintons.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just really scary that I actually got interviewed by someone that, I mean, it's weird to think, so, I got all the calls for like 3 weeks and then all of this has happened. Nobody bothers me here in Franklin, to be honest with you, on any, I mean, I might get something a little stuck to a window. So let me tell you a little funny story. I've got the Trump 2020 flag. I just replaced it with a Tennesseans for Trump in my window, okay? But I took down the Trump 2020 sign because there was a Women's March for Trump in October of 2019. So coming up in a year ago. And one of my customers' husband made a dowel so that we could carry it in front of us. And my girlfriend and I walked at the beginning of that march. The Antifa were downtown Nashville, and they would, I'm not kidding, I was waiting for them to spit in my face. They were just ugly. So anyway, that was on like a Thursday. So I had not come back in on Friday and hung it yet. And you've got regulars who will walk by and through the center and stuff. So this guy and this man and woman open up the door and they're like, so have you changed your mind? And I'm like, changed my mind? Sir, I'm sorry. Changed my mind about what? He goes, your Trump 2020 sign is down. I was like, oh, I haven't rehung it yet. I'll get right on that, which I did not. So somebody else came in and they were like, so did you change parties? I was like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't. So when the third person came in 2 days to ask me about my Trump sign, I just went and got my ladder. I was like, just hold on. I'm going to do it right now. So so we do live in Trump country. Mm-hmm. So, which is nice. Right. You've got some liberals here, but they're not rioters necessarily that are going to come break out windows and stuff like that. Thank God. I'm just so grateful they're not loud like that. Right. So, yeah, I've got, let's see, there's 2 women that like to troll me and 3 men.
Wow.
So, yep. And I work really hard, to be honest with you, to kind of witness to them and do what I can. You just try to keep it. And then there's days I think, okay, I can't tolerate your junk anymore. And so I'll just delete there's days I think, okay, you're having a stupid day. and I'm not. So I'm going to take down your stuff.
That's sometimes on Instagram, that's what happens to me. I'll be like, some days I'm ready to be like silly and quippy and make comments, and other days I'm just like, yeah, I don't have the bandwidth for this. You're going away. I can't do this.
I can't. Yeah, dude, I cannot do the do with you today. I'm sorry, because sometimes I could just really, I need, when I respond to the trolls, I like to really, really try to respond in kindness as much as possible. And I'll call your bluff out. And then there's just sometimes it's just like, oh, bless your heart. You are not having a good day, are you? Do you do patterns also?
I do patterns, but I'm not anywhere near as prolific. So
yeah, well, it's work.
It is.
And hers aren't nearly as controversial either. So she's kind of like flying under the radar.
Almost, kind of.
Yeah. I grew up in a big family. And so it took me, honestly, till I was about 50 to realize what those true talents and gifts from God were. We had 7 kids. I'm the middle perfect one. I'm the peacemaker. And 4 are hairdressers. My dad was a hairdresser, and we also owned a restaurant. And I worked in the restaurant. Wow. So I've got that gift of hospitality. And I've got that gift of cheerleading. So I'm an encourager. And I know that. But one thing you do learn about growing up in a big family is you learn how to contend. Right. So if these people thought they were going to shut me down, they have no clue. I have 40 plus years of experience of fighting back. And it's great. It's just, it's kind of funny, especially on Yelp. So Yelp was really sweet. When all of this happened, I hadn't checked Yelp in a while, and I looked, and people were saying while they had a layover in Nashville that they would buy needles from me and they broke, and I refused to replace them. I was like, dude, unless you were sleeping over in Nashville, you did not come visit me. There is no way, because there's not enough time unless you had a 6 to 8 hour layover because it's traffic and the distance. So anyway, I told the guy, I said, have you got your own phone, your own personal computer there where you can look up? And so he Googled me, and then he comes back onto the, the regular phone, the Yelp phone with me, and he goes, oh, ma'am, I am so going to help you.
Yep.
Nice.
They were so sweet. Then I got a lot of men that followed me, and the men that called during this time that were really sweet. Y'all have to remember, for every ugly phone call, email, text, and everything else I got at least 1, if not 2, people calling, male and female, to thank me and tell me how much they appreciated me being bold, which I'm like, grew up in a big family, thought nothing of it, dude. So it was just, there are good people out there. And we are making an impact even on the liberals. There are so many that are waking up, but and for instance, this lady came in, and I want to say she was from Texas. I could be wrong, but anyway, she came in with her daughter, and she goes, I've got some Democrat friends, which I do too. They're just not obnoxious. They're not in your face, ready to take your head off. And she goes, they've told me they're all voting Trump this year.
Wow.
I thought, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, it's a 2-party system. It does work, but there's no sense in trying to silence the other party. That's where it gets crazy. And the lengths they'll go to, canceling everything.
Right.
It's crazy. That's taking it over the top, and there's no reason for that. So, are y'all experiencing this kind of stuff in y'all's business?
I don't have issues. I mean, sometimes people will come out of the woodwork and be like, you suck, and they'll be like, yeah, that's okay. I don't care. But I mean, like, this is one of my biggest selling patterns right now, Blue Lives Matter. Like, people don't stumble on me and they're not surprised about what I stand for. It's pretty much like, if you look at my Instagram for about 30 seconds, you know what I think about everything. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they get mad at me. They still get mad on my Facebook. Yeah, which, I don't care. I mean, and I don't mean that in a flippant way, because honestly, with the Blue Lives Matter, the whole thing is we all matter.
Right.
And if we just took the time to respect one another's opinion, this divisiveness would not be where it is right now. There would not be so much riot. I don't even know if there would be rioting. There may be protests, but the rioting and the looting and the, can you believe people are dying over this? I mean, people have been taken from the face of the earth over this stuff. They're like no longer with, I mean, that's kind of, it's one thing to hear about it, I mean, I know people die, but to think that you've been shot over something so crazy, this is crazy stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, not good. That doesn't bode well for our country. So, but one of the things I think I told you, well, and I put up on Instagram, was I've got my new Tennesseans for Trump sign that I just put up. So that window will always be dedicated pretty much, to Trump.
I think I saw that just before I came on.
That's my Trump window. And then my next window is just the American Patriot window. So there's a guy in Wisconsin who is friends with a man, and the man's wife is my customer. And the man makes custom made drums, but the most places are still not playing, I guess, up there or open for music. And so he's taken to do some woodworking flags. And so I've ordered one of those, and they're about as wide as the windows, which are 36 inches wide. So when that comes in, that flag will be hanging. That's going to be my American Patriot, and just be all about, people don't realize how privileged we are to live in this country. Other countries don't have the same freedoms. It's disturbing what's going on right now, how they're almost begging for all their rights to be taken away. The nanny state, it's like, go to work. Don't you realize that's a privilege and it's good for you?
Yeah, that's the problem. Everybody's getting they get everything that they handed to them. Then they don't think hard work is useful, and then
their dignity takes a hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's dignified to go to work. I don't care what you do. It's dignified to go to work and to feel like you can provide for yourself. So, but yeah, that's one of the things I hope with all this. Have y'all been to a Trump rally yet?
Not been. Unfortunately, it's something I've watched so many of them. You have not been? I have not. Well, I live in the middle of nowhere. Like Trump knows. He knows we love him. There's nothing, So South Dakota is pretty Trumpian. So
yeah,
and with not a large amount of population. I mean, he was in the Black Hills on the other side of the state, but not specifically in my area. I'd have to go to Minneapolis, and I don't want to go there right now. So
yeah, and
y'all, if you get a chance to go to a Trump rally, it is worth taking a day off work. I'm not kidding you. So my sister is also, she's a hairdresser, and I got the email that Trump was coming, and this was March after he got inaugurated. So March of 2016. And she's got a bunch of hairdressers, so she could leave at noon. I knew it'd line up. I'm like, I can't do that. I can leave 45 minutes early at the end of the day. I mean, people won't sweat it too badly. Right. So I kept going, what am I going to put on the door? Because I got tickets that were free, but you have to reserve them.
Right.
And so I called, she goes, you called because you got tickets, didn't you? And I'm like, yes, I got tickets because I'm going. And I said, well, I'll just have to meet you down there. So I thought, what am I going to put on my front door? And if you go through my Instagram account, you'll see what I did, but it's really old, obviously 4 years worth. But I put, don't ask me where I came up with this, but it was a zinger. Trump called. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And then he came around for a second rally. And I said, well, how blessed can a gal get? Trump called again. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
See, that's awesome. The last time Trump was anywhere near me, I had an infant. And so like my husband tried to go. My husband and my stepdad went and waited in line. But they were like a couple hundred back, and they had cut off they couldn't get in. So
oh my goodness. They are absolutely the 25-year-olds that show up at these rallies will restore your hope in this country. It's so full of life. It is unbelievable thing that I did. So, but we have some interesting conversations in here at times when I, have someone who doesn't know how conservative I am. They'll come in and they'll go, well, I just don't understand.
And then my customers just look at me and go, you need to do your own research and quit believing everything the media tells you. You have got to start looking out yourself to figure out this stuff. So
people want to be spoon-fed. They want to turn on the news. They don't want to do the work. It's just like the people who want everything given to them. Work is hard. It's not always fun. Like, I'm homeschooling now. Sometimes, like, my kids are like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's hard. Even if you were in the classroom, you would still have to do it. We don't always love everything, but we do it because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And you can't just allow somebody you don't know to start telling you what you believe. Like, I wouldn't.
Right.
They're critical thinking skills is what it is. They don't use, we've got them, but if you don't exercise your critical thinking skills and you allow someone else to do your thinking, then you are going to be spoon-fed whatever they want to spoon-feed you.
Right. I was, I may have shared this story before, but I was talking to somebody and it was about the Jacob Blake incident. And they were talking about it, this or that, and they said, oh, well, it was a traffic stop. And I'm like, hang on, it's not a traffic stop. So I go through the case, and I'm like, okay, so this and this and this and this and this is what happened. And the guy looks at me like, wow, where did you get the secret inside track on the Jacob Blake case? And I'm like, I saw the video. Like the video,
right?
You know, I feel like the X-Files, the truth is out there, except it's not like some metaphor. It's not like some weird alien thing. It's you can see the video and then you can judge the case. There may be other parts to the case, but that's a pretty clear indicator to what's going on.
Well, did you get to listen to the 911 tapes on that?
I saw the transcripts were out, but I haven't listened to them.
Yeah, that's an interesting little transcript because she, and it's just now coming out that he had gone in there. He was not supposed to be there, right? So he had a restraining order.
Yep.
She had one of her kids in the bed with her. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
And he raped her.
With her kid there?
Yes, before the police got there. It's when he got up and got moving out of the bedroom that she finally got to call the police. He wasn't supposed to be there. So that's why people are so upset with the NFL right now, because they've got Jacob Blake all over that, and it's like being raped again. And it's like, no. And I don't understand how women have become so, they're just nasty. I look at that little, the Judd girl and the Alyssa Milano girl. Now, the Judd kid lives down the street from me, from where she lives, about 8, maybe 10 miles from the yarn shop. Mm-hmm. And so what makes me mad about women is this. They go in and they think they have to get on their back or their knees to get a job. Who told you that? Walk away from that. And it's just like when you go in for an interview and you go, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask for, $70,000 a year to do this job. And they offer you $65,000. Mm-hmm. Women are not as willing to walk away from the table to get what they want. And then so that they're happy with 65 because they got the job.
Right.
They really wanted 7, but they got the job. So they take it at 65, and then they spend a lifetime complaining that they don't make as much as men. It's like, you have to be willing to walk away from the table. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of women out there that make good money, and they get up and they walk away from the table. They know their worth, they know their value, and they know that they can deliver. So for these women who take less than what they're worth or feel like they've got to do something outside of the norm to get the job, who taught you that? You're part of the problem.
They are part of the problem. And then there's all the women saying, oh, believe women, believe women, believe women. Oh, something came out against Biden. Oh, well, we don't believe that. You can't be selective about it. If you believe women, you believe women. You can't only like it when it works for your narrative. And that's the problem.
Right. And
even what they put Kavanaugh through.
Oh, definitely. No,
and horrible.
And even just believe women with the caveat of wait for the facts. Again, it oughtn't to be a political thing. That it should be, we only believe people on one political side or another political side. It's facts are facts, and we really can find the truth of a case. It's incredibly rare when we can't.
I just say, that played out in front of the entire world, the Kavanaugh hearings, in front of the entire world. And that I feel sorry for that woman, the Blasey Ford woman,
Yeah.
because she could never completely support her story. And this, like I said, this played out in front of the whole world.
Yeah.
And it was a nasty thing to play out at all. I mean, this should have not waited till his hearings. If they were going to do this, they should have done it before the hearings ever started for his nomination. That's what vetting is all about. But they waited, and that is a tactic of the liberals right now. And of course, you know, it is truly right now about getting him out of office. Of course, they realize now his term's almost over. But now it's, you know, prevention mode. Try to keep him from getting reelected. And I thought, well, honey, that boat sailed. I mean, he will, you know, I think about what's getting ready to happen. He's going to win by a landslide. And you need to realize with all that's gone on, all glory to God. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind as a believer, he has definitely been anointed to lead this country during this time. And no one can touch him. And you know, the Democrats are so sure. I was like, do not mock God. It's not a good thing. You just can't do it.
It's something that my friend has told me several times, that, you know, there is pessimism in politics, but the hope comes from religion. And without that religion, you just kind of look at the world and you're like, well, this is all going to burn. And it's religion that says it may burn, but it may not, that there's always that hope of renewal, that that in situations where it looks like there's no hope, that there is hope, that people really, that there is the power to change people's minds, to renew them, to go a different direction, even though it looks like, even not religiously, but in the walkaway campaign, how many people that, you know, you would have looked at them before like, oh man, they're very liberal. You're not going to change their mind. They're yelling this slogan or that slogan. Yeah, well, better not try. And then they say, hey, I've actually been thinking about this for a while, and they may not be conservative initially, but they're like, wait, I'm listening to you now. And I think the more conservative side, the Trump side, the however you want to define it side, that they're listening. They're like, actually, I think you're right. And they're not 100%, you know, like I've been a conservative since I was a teenager. So it's not like some big woohoo epiphany moment. I was just sort of raised in conservatism. And when you see people who are liberal and then they make the turn, like that's not impossible. Like,
right.
It's not, conservatism isn't a losing side. And I think it's been acting like a losing side for years. And
if not decades.
Decades, yeah.
Yep, because we've been silent. The conservatives stay silent, and it's bitterness is what it's done. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was growing up, my dad had a couple of sayings, and this is what people don't realize. Right now, like the fires going on in Oregon and California and Washington State, mm-hmm. Trump told them 2 years ago when Paradise, California started burning, clean your forest floors. Mm-hmm. They assume he's so stupid, you know, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, my dad always said, you never get to the top by yourself, and you don't stay there by yourself. You surround yourself with smart people who know what they're doing, and you listen to them. And Trump has that ability to put key people in key positions. He gets rid of them when, you know, if there's something iffy. And yes, sometimes they go head to head on stuff, and there's a parting of the ways. But that's a good thing, because to have someone on, a lot of times it's a good thing. To always lock horns with somebody, at times that's iron sharpening iron, but there comes a point when it will have side effects and it affects other people on the team. So you've got to know when to cut loose. Mm-hmm. So, but I respect Trump for a lot of reasons. And besides just being an American patriot, he has taken more. I cannot imagine him getting up every morning and having to face a media that lies about him, you know, and then you look at your counterparty, right? The other party out there, and they hate this country. It's got to be overwhelming. So I prayed for him when he got elected. Funny story that night, you know, when he threw his name in the ring, I told my husband, there's our next president. I said, this election is about the two most powerful businessmen in the world, George Soros and Donald Trump. And Soros is behind the liberals. And I said, he will win. So anyway, my husband never really believed me, okay? But then it came down to it, and I said, if you don't vote for Trump, we're going to have some problems. And he never really acted like he wasn't, and he did.
Mhm.
And so the night of the election, I'd gone to bed at 9:30, and I prayed, and I was like, God, you tell us to claim this. And I'm going to bed, and I'm going to trust that I'm going to wake up and Donald Trump will be our president. Well, I woke up at about 1:30, and I turned on the TV and started to knit, crazy as that is. And Trump was elected. And so I walked in, I told my husband, I said, we don't have to get our guns this week. Trump's our president. And I knew he would be. And then I look at the last 4 years at how nasty and dirty the Democrats are playing now. It's pretty unbelievable. And my dad had a saying for that too. I love my dad, just so you know, and he had a great sense of humor. But he would always say, you know, people like that are so ugly that you'd have to tie a pork chop around their neck to get the dog to play with them. And then the other one he'd say, they'd rather climb a tree and lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth. That is your liberal party.
Yep.
It is so easy to sit there and have to confront the truth and be truthful about it and not ruin relationships, but they will go out of their way to lie. And it is so sad. And it puts a very bad example for your, 35 and under crowd. Think of your little teenagers that are seeing all this going on, and they're seeing that it's okay to lie and to manipulate to get what you want. It is not.
Right.
So that's what you're going to have, a generation of people that will lie and think nothing of it.
Well, we already do. We have a generation of people who think it's fine to go out and burn stuff down. Like, because they didn't get their way.
Yeah.
It's obvious they never got spanked enough as children. I don't know.
It takes a lot of backbone to discipline your kids. And it takes a lot of backbone in the adverse political arena we are in now, the divisiveness, to stand up and tell the truth and to call people out on it.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing. And that's what Ann and I have been asking people to do. We get so many people, oh, I love your stuff. Oh, I'm too scared to say. We got to start saying stuff,
Yeah.
And your disciplining thing is exactly right. My mother, I have 2 kids. I will talk to her sometimes. And I'll be like, dude, they are trying me today. And she goes, remember, discipline is harder on you than it is on them. And standing up for what you believe in is harder on you than it is on the people you're talking to. It's a hard thing to do, but it's the right thing to do, which is why you have to do it whether you want to or not. I mean, really.
And also with saying the truth and with Trump, that he is, people are like, oh, well, he's mean, he's rude or whatever. We have had so many years of people who wouldn't say poo if they had a mouthful. And what has that got us?
It's gotten us nothing.
Yeah,
it's gotten us 40-something years of Biden, which is not really that fancy. It hasn't done anything for us.
No, he's living in his basement, and I'm like, he needs to be in a nursing home. His wife needs to be prosecuted for elderly abuse.
Yeah, I honest to God feel bad for him because he is not okay, and they're just tracing him around like it's totally fine, and it's not right. But
So do you all think that all 3 debates will happen?
No.
I don't even. The third one's scheduled for Nashville. Oh my gosh, there's so many Trump supporters. You cannot even. When I went to my, the first rally of Trump right after his inauguration, the line was 4 miles long to get in.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I have to think about the second one. I had to wait an hour and a half to get in, but the line because I left early, so I got there fairly early. It started later in the evening. I only had to wait an hour and a half to get in. So I got there. I was probably within the first mile of the line, but I was wet all the way down to my shoes. It was raining. We all stood out in the rain. Every single one of us. Nobody left line. Yeah. That's all right. We dried off. Who cares? It's just water. Yep. So I just kind of, I would love to go to see the third debate. I just saw that it's posted, the moderators, and so I'm hoping to get tickets, and yes, I will go. I'm trying to find out if our church is taking a bus to DC on the 26th to pray at the, well, not at the White House, but they pray at the plaza there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping I can go to that. That's a big thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We pray for Trump. Well, and we don't just pray for Trump. We pray for him, obviously, to have godly wisdom, discernment, to be able to act up. But we pray for this country to unite. There's a lot of us who have committed to it because this is not what we want for our kids. I don't want it for myself right now. There's all this divisiveness. So I certainly don't wish it on my kids and any other future generation. That's all we can do, in all honesty. But I was going to tell, the reason I said you're talking about discipline. So you're talking about disciplining your children, and you have to realize the impact it does make on them to see you stand strong, because then they've got the backbone to stand up, not necessarily to discipline somebody else, but they learn to take that stand. So it does make an impact. And I don't think about it, when all this happened to me, and I still don't think about it, but people come in just to tell me thank you. So it's normal to me. I mean, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, but people appreciate it. So they appreciate your patterns and taking that stand too. And that's what you have to remember, because before we got on, I did kneel down and pray that whoever listens to this, that it would touch somebody who needs to hear it, who needs to hear this conversation. I don't care if they're conservative or not, but whatever's said between us goes out and it tickles somebody's ears and moves their heart. So it's a
Amen.
Biggie. Amen. Big time.
Yeah.
So we're going to get there as this country.
We will. And, standing up is hard. And my kids are small. We've had conversations, especially my older one, because understands now, like I'll be on Instagram and I'll let them look, they love to heart things. So I'll let them heart things and they'll be like, hey, those other parents have their kids' pictures up. Why don't you have ours up? And so it's led us to talking about things like not everybody likes me. Like the older one has said, well, why do you call yourself Deplorable Knitter? And so I had to explain that it was actually kind of a mean thing that I kind of turned around and took, because I'm not going to be bullied by the other people.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to just, when Ann and I started this thing, I said, people don't like me, Ann. You might get hate mail. Like, if you're not okay with that, let's not do this, because it's
which again is a really weird thing that, again, really haven't gotten hate mail, and it's making me kind of nervous. Like, where is it at?
It's going to just blow up one day.
Right.
Okay. So
once it does blow up, I'm waiting for it. I'm like, I understand it's bad. Everyone says it's bad. I'm not trying to say that it isn't or anything else, but I'm kind of worried that I don't have it. Like, clearly I haven't been out there enough. Like, I need to.
Anne does not know about how you dealt with COVID.
During COVID, that all this stuff came out, and I'm like, for real. Y'all want us to wear a mask, and you want me to not go to work? Are you out of your mind? Who's going to pay my bills? I'm like, I don't mean to be rude, but eating for me and paying my bills is essential. I will be open. So I opened every day.
Good for you.
I didn't do classes. I had already done curbside, because I've got a lot of people, they do that hot yoga stuff, and like, well, I got yarn that you're wearing. You mind if I just come up to the front door? I'm like, no, throw me your credit card. I'll throw you your yarn. So curbside was not new to us. And then women would come in and I would tell them there's enough room to social distance. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you wear a mask. I don't know who you've got in your home.
Right.
So if somebody wants to wear a mask, they can. I never wore one. Mm-hmm. And I never have. And I've got a lot of nurses and they're like, you're not concerned? I was like, no, because if I get it, I'll have the immunity, the antibodies in me. Good. But it was fun. No, I had to eat. I stayed open. Police sat out front. When police get pulled onto calls, they got to fill out reports, right? Okay. So they'll pull into a parking lot. They don't pull on the side of the street. They usually pull into somebody's parking lot. Well, you could probably see police out here in my parking lot filling out reports 3 to 4 times a week. So I always had a police presence. They knew I was open. You know, they never, ever came in here and said, ma'am, you know, your county says you can't be open. I was like, yeah, I don't think so. But they're good. They never said that. I love the police department here. We have the finest. So very blessed that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I wasn't going to close. Yeah, do you mind?
Well, you know, especially around me, I'm in New York. We have Cuomo, who has not allowed anything. And I know of like 3 or 4 businesses right in my little town that are just done now.
Yeah.
And it's really terrible. And it's because, you know, the restaurants can't have people in them. They got to wear masks. I want to know why the COVID can know where I'm walking in a restaurant. But once I sit at my table, it's okay. Like, how does it know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's a smart virus.
So before the show today, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to Rush Limbaugh, of course. And there was a airline pilot who called in, and he said, you know, it's so ridiculous. There's so many fewer planes flying right now, and when you fly, you know, everyone says you got to wear your mask and you got to social distance. While the plane is full, you are sitting right next to somebody, and then you sit down, and then you get your airline peanuts and you take your mask off to eat them. Well, what good was it the entire time that you walked into the plane and everything else? And somebody brought it up. It's very much one of the things that really beat people down in the Soviet Union is that everybody had to believe whatever the nonsensical lie was. And you had to act as if it was true, even though you're like, that it just isn't so. Like the CDC says that the masks that we wear aren't good if you're in Oregon and there's a lot of smoke in your area because of the forest fires. Well, if they're not good for smoke and the smoke particles are larger than COVID particles, then what are we doing? Why are we doing this? So that it's very.
There was a customer whose son is the head of the infectious disease department at the University of Louisville.
Okay.
And so he's like, the masks work when you got 3 layers. Well, you can't breathe through 3 layers.
Right.
You can't, I mean, it's just nasty. Inhaling your own and just think of the stuff that comes off of your face.
Oh,
and even the nurses here, that come in, they're like, I am so over this. I'm like, I know, God, I know you are. It's just so hard. And then, yes, I thought the funniest thing that happened during all of this was one day I'm sitting down and this car pulls up front, and it's a good $90,000 convertible Porsche.
Wow.
Okay. I know. And this girl couldn't have been 32 years old. Tops down, and her mask is on. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you could just see yourself now. It was so funny. You know, I want a female in the office one day too, but I mean, I'm not going to be stupid about it.
No.
If you're not a good candidate, you're female, you're not getting my vote.
Exactly.
That's a throwaway vote. There are plenty of good women that would do well leading this country. Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton's not one of them.
No, and
Kamala Harris.
Oh, certainly not. But again, that the Me Too movement is out there, and it's considered a very liberal movement. And then you have Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, they really helped those women. No.
Yeah, no, they are not
at all. They set women back. Mm-hmm. That's why I said with the whole Me Too thing that went on, you know, these women act like they couldn't get a job without special giving special favors. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, who taught you that? That's what I want to know. Where is your own self-dignity that you would look at somebody and go, you're out of your mind if you think I'm going to do that to get a job. I'm a talented actress. And if you don't believe in me, that's okay. So that's where I do not understand. And then for the backlash to come in, the complaint about it, it's like, you started it.
Yeah.
A man is going to ask. People are going to ask. Just say no.
Even with Michelle Obama, that all the people at the DNC, you have Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama and everybody. And Michelle Obama, who gave the most glowing speech about what a wonderful man Harvey Weinstein is. And to my knowledge, she hasn't retracted it. Any young woman who was like, wow, Michelle Obama says he's okay, so he must be awesome.
Yeah.
What? Why isn't anyone mentioning that? And she's supposed to be a saint. Like, no.
Yeah. Well, how about Oprah?
Oh, certainly.
Oprah got her start
She's
in
in the same
Nashville.
boat.
So I just sit here, I look at her and I think, you could have such a positive impact on young girls, young Black girls, and you have not. You have failed. Obama failed. Hillary failed. Oprah's failed. I look at all of these women and men that could have, I mean, they were going to have to really step up to the plate harder than ever and take, like Kennedy, Kennedy really stepped up to the plate when he was talking about, it's not what you can do, what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. That is a very, very bold statement, especially, well, nowadays it's bold whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. But my point is, it takes a strong person to buck the odds and to have that moral backbone and deliver on it.
Right.
And those people all missed it. There's so many, and look how many people have hit the mark though. Look at Ben Carson.
Yeah.
Look
Definitely.
at Ben Crenshaw. I mean, not only did he serve, but he's coming back and he's now a senator running. I guess he's going to try to run for president in 2024. I mean, look at Ted Cruz, which prayerfully, he is going to be on the list for Trump's nomination for the Supreme Court. So he's
Yes,
a
I know that.
constitutionalist, Ted Cruz is. I don't know if you know that,
He,
so but.
On the news this morning, I saw that he said that he does not want to have that position, though. He said that he would prefer to stay where he is and help get the nominations through. So
Yeah.
You never know.
Well,
he
he
may
is-
change his mind, but that's what he said this morning, at least.
Right.
Yeah, and but I'm just saying, Senator Ted Cruz, isn't he part Hispanic? Hasn't he got a Hispanic?
Yep.
So my point is, who cares what color your skin is? Who cares what nationality you are? Step up to the plate, show that moral backbone, and it is amazing what can, really change. That having that moral backbone to me really unites people.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need someone who's going to lead. We all need to lead in our own way. I think all of us have leadership capabilities. It's just our strengths lie in different areas. So, I mean, look at your stuff and, you kind of rock out on the patterns. They're beautiful. So that's what I'm saying. We all have our different strengths, but we can still lead from that position. And it's important. And it's also important to me here as an encourager to go, you can do that. You can't. You need to start believing in yourself. You can't. Make sure you get your rest. You need a pep talk. You give me a call and stuff like that. But we need to do that all across the board, no matter what, is to give each other that pep talk, because you can't carry the day every single day in and day out by yourself. All right. Well, I got somebody who just walked in. Perfect timing.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Talk to
All
you
right. We'll
soon.
see you soon. All right.
Okay.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.